Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.
Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
I'm sorry. If your quarry goes to ground, leave no ground to go to. You should have taken my offer. Or did you think none of this was your fault?
I don't murder children.
I do. If I have to.
Why? Do you even know why they sent you?
It's not my place to ask. I believe in something greater than myself. A better world. A world without sin.
So me and mine gotta lay down and die so you can live in your better world?
I'm not going to live there. There's no place for me there, any more than there is for you. Malcolm, I'm a monster. What I do is evil. I have no illusions about it, but it must be done.
Keep talking. You're not getting a location trace off this wave.
And every minute you keep River Tam from me, more people will die.
You think I care?
Of course you care. You're not a Reaver, Mal.
Hey, what's up, people out there in podcast land? Welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Firefly. We're just two boys who have watched every episode of Firefly, and now we're watching Serenity. We are your hosts. I am Joe Welke.
I am Vance Tucker.
And today we got a last name from Vance. Today, as I said, we're talking about the 2005 American space western film written and directed by Joss Whedon, Serenity. The release date was September 30th, 2005. Budget of $39 million, box office of $40.4 million. Oof. You hate to see that. But yes, this is the sequel follow-up to the Firefly TV series that aired on Fox.
Yeah, I guess it definitely tracks as a full-on sequel too. Yeah.
Some time has passed since the last episode of Firefly. We see that change in people and where they are, etc. But before we get into the movie, just want to do a couple announcements up top, some housekeeping. Sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/boyswatchingbuffy. Today we're doing the Angel Q&A to wrap up everything Angel before we move on to Dollhouse. And also I want to make special mention here too, after we wrap up Serenity here, we are going to be moving on to Veronica Mars. We're not going to do any bonus episodes for Firefly stuff because it just lined up so perfectly. Like, like the start of Veronica Mars is next week. The start of Dollhouse is next week on Patreon. So everything just kind of lined up perfectly, too perfectly.
We planned it out.
To do what?
We planned it out.
We planned it out.
Yeah.
Not that the stars are aligning. We forced those stars into place, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
We made that happen. So yes, sorry, we'll do some Fuck, Marry, Kills on Discord, which you should definitely join. Who you fuck, marry, kill? Zoe, Kaylee, and Aura. There you go. I'm gonna fuck Aura because she's got, training. Probably kill Zoe, marry Kaylee. I think Kaylee's still got that freak in her.
I got some thoughts on Kaylee. I got some thoughts because I might, because we see Zoe get it on a lot too, though.
Oh yeah.
So I think I think Kaylee from the show I might be Mary, but I think from the movie not so much. But we'll get into that.
We'll get into that.
And expect a lot more of that in the Angel Q&A because we get a lot of those questions.
Oh yeah, lots of FMKs. So sign up for that on our Patreon, patreon.com/boyswatchmovies. Also, Dr. Horrible sing-along blog movie review coming out. Join our Discord. We have a lot of fun conversations about Firefly, Buffy, Serenity, Angel, and that is also where we have gotten our songs for the Firefly series, and we've got one more song, everybody. We're not going to do a song for Serenity. That'd be weird to start off Veronica Mars with a song about the movie Serenity. So, yeah, this is the last one, and who better to bring us home but Anzai. Anzai submitted some lyrics, sent in an extra verse on this one, so you're going to hear my little pretty voice just a tick longer. So without further ado, River's dreams are kinda corny, psychic view and makes her horny. Wash thinks she can't be a seer, but you live in a spaceship, dear. Jubal Early's right on time. If he was late, it wouldn't rhyme. Lion has a mighty roar as the not a shepherd hits the floor. When Inara visits his intentions, there's a pistol whipping intervention. River melts into the ship, and Simon takes the chance to quip. The ship is saved by River Tam. The show's last words are, "Here I am." And one more time. The ship is saved by River Tam. The show's last words are, "Here I am." Yeah, fucking, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Those lyrics got me.
Yeah, way to send it out, Anzai. Way to send it out.
Yeah. I love that, like, people have their little niches of our podcast. Like, Joe Dean was our behind the scenes guy with all the DVD commentary. Mm-hmm. Anzai was the music lyrics guy. Yeah. Some fun stuff.
I'm happy to have that taken off of my plate. It was great. And much better than anything I did. So, yeah.
And yes, without further ado, I'm going to pop open this cherry limeade Zoa.
Oh, you're going Zoa? I am going with the last creamsicle C4 that I have in the fridge. It's one of those days.
Yeah. All right. So I think that we're probably going to do this. If you've never listened to our Boys Watching Movies podcast on Patreon, which you definitely should, we're going to do this review similar to what we do there. It's a little bit less structured than the regular podcast where we go scene by scene. It's more of like a general vibe. We'll jump around to a couple of different scenes. We'll get into discussions about stuff. But overall, a good time. So I wanted to start off with Vance. You saw this movie before. Did any of this stuff really ring a bell when you were watching it?
Well, I knew that Chiwetel Ejiofor was in it, and I knew he was.
I'm so glad that you don't know how to pronounce his name either.
I think I pronounced it pretty close.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
I think it's Ejiofor. I think the J. I think the J has an H sound to it, but I'm not 100%.
I kept writing down Chiwetel in my notes.
Yeah,
and then Chiwetel, afterwards I found out that his name is the operative, and I was like, "Whew, that's so much okay."
I knew he was in it, and I think he's great in it. I think he's a better version of Jubal Early. It's like Jubal Early was what they were. This is like kind of what you want to get out of him.
Yeah, Jubal Early was like the prototype for the operative.
Yeah. And I knew that River was going to do some fighting. I knew she was going to do some, like, that's what I was expecting in Firefly, the show, that we didn't get because she became the ship.
Yeah.
Which I did like. I did like her becoming the ship idea.
I wish that she actually became the ship.
And I kind of remember that last fight scene with Mal and the operative, Chiwetel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny about Chiwetel is that we've done Love Actually on the Patreon, and me and you both saw that Venom movie that he is completely wasted in. Because he's a good actor. He's a great actor. Yeah. I like seeing the Venom movie and then watching this. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Night and day.
Venom: The Last Dance.
Yes.
Is hysterical.
It's so bad.
It's so bad. And so, but anyway, that's a different movie. But yeah. So, yeah, I mean, he's also in like Doctor Strange, right? He's Mordo.
Yeah, he's in the first Doctor Strange and 12 Years a Slave, which he's also in with Sarah Paulson, who shows up in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually also do like the
IMDb
cast. Yeah, we do the cast stuff here. So obviously it's the cast, you know, Nathan Fillion, Gina Torres, Alan Tudyk, Morena Baccarin, Adam Baldwin, Jewel Staite, Sean Maher, whatever.
Mao.
Summer Glau, Ron Glass, David Krumholtz is in this.
Yeah.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, Sarah Paulson's in it, Michael Hitchcock. Not sure who that is, but
that was the guy who got paralyzed and fallen on the sword.
Doctor, yes.
He's in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Best in Show and a bunch of other things. He's been in a ton of things.
Oh, okay.
And David Krumholtz, obviously from Harold and Kumar, The Santa Claus, Oppenheimer.
And then there's a little extra moment here that's not listed in the cast on Wikipedia.
It is on IMDb.
Oh, well, that's why IMDb is generally superior. Our boy Glenn Howerton, Dennis Reynolds himself from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, has a little tiny, eensy-weensy little cameo appearance in this movie as like just a guy on the ground.
I mean, it's a big one. I think he's the guy. Isn't he the guy who gets kicked off the speeder and shot?
Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was him.
I didn't realize it was him until after I looked it up. But he's the guy who pulls out the gun that Zoe makes him toss the gun away. And then he's the one running to the speeder that Mal kicks off and kills him so that the Reavers don't eat him alive or whatever.
Yeah. Mercy killing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a big scene. He's a part of a pivotal. It's not a big role, but it's a very pivotal character. I didn't realize that was him, but that is a very pivotal moment in the movie. That came as a shock too, from what we know of Mal.
Yeah.
It's a very movie moment. So,
general first thoughts of Serenity. They use the Avatar font for the.
They went papyrus. Yeah, they did.
I was fucking Ryan Gosling it out right there. I was like, oh my God, no, they did it.
They did it. Yeah.
They do it for the outside of the ship, which we have never seen before, like the logo painted on the ship. It's on the. So the Wikipedia theatrical poster is way different than the ones that I've seen previously, where it's like River doing that weird, like kind of split with swords. The one that I'm looking at right now, it looks vaguely kind of like Minority Report, sort of.
Okay.
It's very interesting looking, but yeah, as soon as I saw Serenity pop up in that papyrus font, I was like, oh no. And I gotta say, overall, as a movie, it's perfect. You know how I said that Firefly, it being on Fox, I was like, that's the wrong network. It should have been on Sci-Fi. I feel like this movie, which got a theatrical release, it's in this weird liminal space where I think the story of the movie is great. I think the presentation of the movie is better than the TV show. I know that we talked about a lot the like brown muddiness of the TV show and just it's ugly to look at. I think this definitely changes that.
Agreed.
I don't think this is bad enough to be like a made for TV movie, but something about it holds it back for me to be like, oh, this was like a good theater movie. I think it's in the special effects for real. Something's not clicking.
The effects are way better. Like my note was that the overall look of the show, the overall look of the movie, I like more than the show. Like
it's a lot more blue and orange, which is like the cinematic colors or whatever.
Yeah. But I feel like you get the old timiness, you get the little westerny of it. It's not as western focused as previously, but there are color levels. It's not just this muddy everything blending together. And they were able to, and the space chases are a lot better. Like that first chase when they're running away from the Reavers looks better, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yes.
So that worked. The music, I also think, is better. They found
100%.
They found the middle ground of the music. Yeah. The voiceover that starts the movie is more cinematically done. I love the opening, the way they kept revealing through layers. Like someone's telling this, oh, this is her dream. Oh, this is him looking at that. I was like, oh, that's actually like the whole opening with the intro of the operative, like right before the title comes up, is all well done. Quick,
extremely well done.
Quickly establishing everything, getting everything to the point you need. I think and I do agree with you with the story. I really liked this movie. I was not looking forward to watching it last night when I had to watch. I was like, oh, I gotta watch this movie. But no, I was enjoying it the whole time. And I think the thing that could hold some people back is once you come from the title, you meet these characters that you do get a chance to know by the end of the movie, but you don't have enough. You don't have too much of an attachment to them.
Yeah.
And I'll say that the love stories in this feel shoehorned in. There's no like the Simon and Kaylee and Anara and Mal stuff just feels like, oh yeah, we need to have this in here. But it has no real, I think that is something that you would have to build up. Like you want to see them bonding through, but not like, hey, you guys used to like each other. And now you guys are looking at each other with lust and longing. And you're like, who are these people?
Yeah. I think that, like you said, the first little opening moment where instead of having Mal like, here's how it is. The Earth got all used up and we had to terraform other planets and them's the breaks and them's formed the Alliance and we'll do any job. Yeah. Like the way that they did it was so skillful where it was like a woman narrating. You're seeing all the planets, but it's actually a school lesson that River Tam, as a young little kid, is a part of. And it turns out that is just a memory that she is, or a dream that she is dreaming in like quote unquote present day, but she's being operated on as like the fucking, when they're doing all of their operations on her to like make her a weapon, a Manchurian candidate type thing. And then that peeled back even more is just a weird hologram history lesson of who River and Simon are that the operative and like the higher up police officials of the Alliance are watching.
Well, what happens is that Simon is there undercover pretending to be an Alliance operative, and he rescues her, and we see the rescue and the escape, and they go like rewind, and then when they go to rewind, the operative walks through the hologram of what we just saw, and he's been watching the escape. So it's just like layers on layers, and it's really well done.
It was also cool to see Simon rescuing River, which is something that we never saw.
And they established that she's psychic early. That's the thing.
They're just like, hey, we're fucking done with all this hinting at. We don't have 7 seasons. We got 2 hours. She's a psychic.
So that's the one like retcon from the show. Like Simon didn't know that she was psychic, and he didn't know all the stuff they did. But in the movie, when he rescued her for shorthand, they know that she's psychic and she might be a weapon and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a quick little synopsis of the movie?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
A quick synopsis of the entire movie.
We're about 20 minutes in, right? So
might as well. So yeah, this is all about, River basically. And it's weird that like Mal is the main character of Firefly, kind of, but the whole story kind of revolves around River, and everything that they get into a lot of times involves River.
But I mean, that's for most space stuff,
Yeah, I
that's
guess
most sci-fi. It's always the main character always got this. River is a person, but also an object. That people are trying to get. So
So this takes place a couple months, I would say, maybe years
8
after
months,
the events of. Yeah, okay. 8 months after the events of Firefly, we got not the whole crew actually. Inara is not on the ship. She has taken up residence as a companion trainer, and Shepherd Book is not on the ship anymore. He has taken off to a planet that he is just kind of chilling on. It's a little secret hideaway planet. But the operative is this super assassin who is like hell-bent on his belief that he needs to kill River because he is like hired by the Alliance. They realize that River is a psychic and she has all of these like crazy memory powers and stuff. And she may have overheard some delicate information about higher ups in the Alliance. So they need to take her out in case she like leaks that to anybody. So the operative is like kind of just on Serenity's tail the entire movie as they try to figure out ways to thwart him and escape and evade him. We actually get to see Reavers quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The first job that the Serenity crew kind of gets foiled by Reavers. And yeah, so then it's just kind of like the operative chasing after the Serenity crew. And eventually the Serenity, like very, very, very broad story synopsis. Eventually the Serenity crew agree to like kind of kick Simon and River off. But then River kind of has this weird subliminal message moment where she says Miranda. The Serenity crew is like, what's Miranda? They figure out it's a planet that exists kind of off map. And they're like, well, yeah, everybody said it was uninhabitable and we tried to terraform it. It didn't take. And they're like, well, why? Let's go investigate this Miranda planet. So they go to the Miranda planet. It's surrounded by an army of Reavers. They sneak through the army of Reavers, get to Miranda. They discover that on Miranda, they were trying to make a drug that basically keeps the entire population docile and really easily suggestible and like at peace with everything. And they're just so calm and chill. And everybody's on Xannies, okay? They're trying to invent Xanax.
They're trying to invent the internet and TV and mass entertainment.
Yeah, they're trying to invent TikTok. But so they do invent it, but it has like horrific side effects for the people that it works on. Like it makes them so docile that they just become not interested in eating, sleeping, going to work, doing anything. So eventually they all just kind of lay down and just die because they're so chill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other side effect of this is that for 10% of the population that took this drug, it had the opposite effect. It made them more aggressive, violent, crazy, and prone to assaults. And it's then revealed that, oh shit, this is where the Reavers come from. The Reavers are the 10% that took this drug, and it just fucked them up and made them all violent and scary.
Yeah, I mean, this was pumped into the atmosphere during the terraforming. So
yeah. So Mal is now like, well, we got to expose this truth to the world, show how evil the Alliance is, and like what happened to Miranda, and like where the Reavers come from. And meanwhile, the operative is kind of hot on their tail. He figures out that they're at Miranda, and he's like, all right, well, I got to take them out before they expose this truth. You know, big fight, people die. The Serenity crew, they expose the truth via this guy, Mr. Universe, who he's tapped into all of the internet across all of the planets everywhere. And they expose the truth. The Alliance is not, they're not broken up, but they are substantially less weaker in power now because people don't trust them or whatever.
I don't really think that's,
that's what the operative says at the end.
What does he say?
He says that the broadcast has weakened the Alliance government, but it didn't disperse them.
Yeah, they'll be fine. No bounce back.
Yeah, exactly. Just like in Star Wars, where the Empire becomes what is it? The First Order. And
I mean, I like the whole release the news thing, but we live in 2025 now. You can release that news story, or are those people on those Alliance planets going to just go, oh shit, revolt?
Yep.
I mean, they should.
Yeah,
I mean, the knowledge is out there, but it's just what are they going to do? The system's so ingrained.
They got to wait 3 more years to vote them out. And then
this massive conspiracy. They're all right.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen? It's just going to be a lot of hearings and people
Yep.
a lot of court and Congress hearings and a couple people going to jail and some people thrown under the bus, and then they're just going to pretend they cleaned it all up and it was just a couple bad operatives,
Yep.
Yep.
Just like real American government, just like Catholic Church, just like all of it.
We got international listeners, other governments too.
Yeah. I don't know about the other governments, though, because I'm an ignorant American.
Do you even know about the American government?
I know that the newly minted president.
Newly minted,
as of yesterday.
His inauguration is on Monday. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this comes out Tuesday. Yeah. Our newly minted president
he's currency.
is a felon. Convicted. But anyway, so that's kind of it. Mal and the operative have kind of a eye-to-eye moment where Mal's like, if I see you again, I'll kill you. And the operative's like, sure, whatever.
I like that. I like the whole ending. I like that Mal didn't kill the operative, and that kind of ended up saving him.
Shook his belief in what he was believing. Because a lot of I would say the word of the movie is belief.
I like what this movie did with taking belief away from religious belief and making it idea belief.
Yeah, conviction in your values.
Yes.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, because if you make it more religious, you can kind of put off. The Firefly show is so anti-religion for Mal that if you're religious and you're watching it, you can already be well, I'm not down for this. But if you do hey, I can understand 2 people having strong beliefs, political systems, everything, and then one person being they both believe their thing so hard, and then you have to try to prove it separately, or how much. There's a lot of are you willing to die for your belief thing? And the operative's just so good, and Chiwetel is just so good at delivering those lines, and he's oh no, I know I'm a monster. And I have no place in this world. It's the self-awareness was great too.
Yeah, and to go along with the religious stuff, the operative is also, before he takes people out, he gives them a lecture about what your sin is, and he kind of talking about those religious beliefs of the 7 deadly sins. We got Book in it, kind of doing his books type stuff, but I agree with you. I love that they made it belief. Belief doesn't need to be religion. I understand how Mal could see it. It's a shepherd talking to me about belief.
That felt like a show thing, and I like that they simplified it for the movie. Because they didn't have time to show the war and turning against your faith and then going back to it. In a show, you have more time to do that. But this,
But I do like that Book kind of shakes him out of it. Hey, dummy. Belief has multiple appliances in the world. It's not just religion. You can believe in your convictions and your values. Like, sure, I believe in God, maybe. Who knows? Who knows what the fuck is up with that guy? We don't.
I love that Book is like, yeah, like Mal. So Book is no longer on the ship, and he's on his own little. They hide out with him and his people on the planet every now and then when they need to go hiding out.
Yeah, it's kind of like an underground secret place that's off the map, I guess,
or easy to find later.
Yeah.
So Mal and him are talking, and he's like, "Huh, you know a lot of stuff for someone that was a shepherd." And he's like, "I wasn't always a shepherd. I had a life before this, but that's not a story for another day.
Yeah,
it's a story for never."
Yeah, because Mal is like, you're gonna have to tell me about that life before you were a shepherd someday. And Book goes, "No, I don't."
And spoiler alert, Book dies.
Yep. So we never get to the bottom of that.
Joss loves writing, but he's like, you know what? I don't have time for this backstory.
I think that there are Firefly comic books.
Shut up. No. Shut up.
I'm serious. I'm pretty certain that there are. Maybe they're answered in that, but
I'm not gonna
fuck all the way off with that. Fuck all the way off with that. But yeah, I mean, I think that those moments between Book and Mal really are kind of the crux of the movie, because the thing about the operative is his genuine belief that he needs to take River out. This is going to be what's best for, or that's just his assignment or whatever.
Yeah, it starts from the beginning with the kids in that fake classroom thing are arguing about, why are the savage outer planets? Why didn't they just join up with the Alliance? And
why did they even fight the Alliance? The Alliance is so great.
Yeah. So it's all about him, the operative, feeling like this is the right path. Like, let's bring everybody in. It's like conquering worlds, like the Roman Empire, Mongolians, European, like just everybody just like, hey, get under our umbrella. We'll take care of you. This is the best thing for everybody. And they'll do anything. They'll kill anybody they'll kill a bunch of people to save people. Very, very, stuff that we talked about in another series before too. And I think they tie that together really well. That theme is really well strung throughout, because we have it at the beginning. Yes. You have it with the operative and Mal's characters, and whenever you talk the Book and stuff, and then even Zoe, they let Zoe talk back to Mal in this.
I know.
And I was like, that's a great update to her programming. Before she was like, yes, Mal, whatever, Mal, you got it, Mal. Now she's like, buddy? Maybe you shouldn't have killed that guy. Maybe you shouldn't have kicked the guy off and then Mercy killed him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great moment too. Like, there are so many good scenes in this movie, man. Like, to go back to that scene with Zoe and Mal. So the setup for that is, Mal and Zoe and Jane are on this planet with River as well, and they're doing a job. They're stealing like some banknotes or some stuff, and they get word that the Reavers are there. River has some kind of psychic feeling in her feelings, in her amygdala or whatever, that the Reavers are coming to that planet. So she starts screaming about it, and Mal's like, all right, we got to get off of this planet. He tells the people that he's robbing, he's like, get everybody down here in the vault. Do not come out until you know it's safe. Which is like, it's funny. He's got a gun to the guy's head. He's robbing him, and he's like, you need to be safe. This is how we're going to save your lives.
Well, when they cut back to him, he's negotiating how he wants to shoot the guy so that it looks like he put up a fight.
Yeah, he's like, it'll be in the leg. And the guy's like, can we just graze it? And he's like, you don't want to graze it.
Yeah. He didn't want it to put up a real fight or something, which I think is funny considering everybody upstairs already knows what happened.
Yeah.
But a couple things in this scene. One, Mal, we get to find out that he's actually clever because they open the safe as a couple pennies. So he's like, oh, that's what we did it for. And then he hits another switch and it opens up the staircase that goes down to the vault. So Mal is competent that way.
Yes.
And then this is the weirdest, maybe one of the weirdest moments in this movie, is Jane clotheslines a guy who goes fully upside down, and then he just DDTs him.
Yeah.
And it is some weird wire work that was unnecessary for this. It was so cartoony. I was like, are we going to have a lot of weird cartoony fight scenes like this? And we don't. That's the most cartoony moment. Like, the guy flips up, he grabs him by the legs, slams him on his head.
Yeah.
The clothesline would have been fine.
Yeah, the clothesline would have worked.
Yeah.
That knocks out people in movies.
I don't know. It was so random. And it happens early to set the tone, and then we don't get that anymore.
Yeah. So they are escaping through the town. The Reavers are descending onto this planet and like raising mayhem and just like killing people, you know, the other stuff that Reavers do. Mal and Zoe and River and Jane are on this little ship thing that they have, a little snow speeder, a little speed boat on land. And they're trying to escape a guy, Glenn Howerton. He apparently he's like running to try and get on their boat. He's like, please save me, please save me. And Mal's like, we don't have enough space. The weight wouldn't work. We would never get out. And so the guy is like, no, please save me. He's like hanging off the side of the ship. Mal just pushes him off. And then two Reavers grab him and they start to like do their Reaver stuff to him. And Mal, before they can really do it, Mal just shoots him and kills him as like a mercy killing. So then they get back onto the ship and Zoe's like, yo, I thought that was really fucked up what you did there. And Mal's like, what? If he would have come on the ship, we would have all died. And Zoe's like, we could have dropped the payload. And Mal's like, I'm not dropping the fucking payload. Not anymore, dude. Yeah, I went through 14 episodes of dropping the payload to save people.
Yeah, if you watch Firefly, you're like, that would have dropped the payload.
Jane eventually dropped the payload after he pushed out his buddy.
Yeah.
Stitch or whatever. Yeah, his name is Stitch.
Yeah, but I mean, Jane will push a guy off before he pushes off the payload. We've seen Mal just give up money multiple times.
Yeah.
But I do understand a movie, they had to kind of go back and he has to get to that point.
I think the biggest problem with Glenn Howerton's character is he wasn't part of the crew.
His problem was he should have just gone into the vault like he told everyone to.
Yeah.
Why would you run after the people that just robbed you? But I do know Reavers are there, but go into the vault. Everyone in the vault lives because you hear like a news story later.
But there's that tension, too, where Zoe is like, back in the war, we would have never left anybody behind like that. And Mal is just like, this ain't the war. War's over. War's been over. And it's time you fucking learn about that.
Yeah.
And then he like goes into his little room. And then Zoe is like taken aback and shook. She's shook, dude. Like, It was nice to see that little emotional side of Zoe, too, because we never got that in the show.
Yeah.
It was just like a really good tense moment of just like, I think that was wrong what you did, Mal.
It was the moments that you expected them to have in the show because of their past history, you know? But we didn't get as much of that.
And then Wash comes over to comfort Zoe. What? Whoa.
Well, that's what Wash does. I gotta say, Alan Tudyk still doesn't get a ton to do.
Boy, does he not. He gets his I'm a leaf on the wind moment.
I did laugh at the first part of that. And then he says it a third time before he ends up having one of the most shocking deaths. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, me neither.
I still don't even know how it happened.
Random moments.
I still don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know what just hit him.
I think it might have been like a Reaver
tree. It was like
spear. Like, I don't know.
It was like a Final Destination, like lumber truck that just went through him.
Yeah, it's like you've been getting away with these jobs for way too long, Wash.
It's like, but yeah, like he said the same line like 3 times. I'm a leaf on the wind.
Leaf on the wind.
Watch me soar. Watch how I soar.
I did like that moment though, because we talk about it through Firefly. Like Wash doesn't really get a lot to like do, And it kind of continues into this. I feel like he's just kind of not in it, but he gets his big moment of flying, like doing the epic piloting and having that calming phrase for himself, like I'm a leaf on the wind or whatever.
Yeah. I just wish he didn't say it like 3 times. Like he says it the first time and then he says it a second time. And then Mal's like, what does that mean? He's like, it's the thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's funny. And then he says it a third time when they stop. And then he just is suddenly killed. And I was like, that's, it was like the third time they did it. It was like too much for me, but he's still fine. And I mean, he's fine. It's just knowing what I know of Alan Tudyk is.
I did enjoy the 3 leaf in the wind because it represented like 3 separate moments of mental state for him. I feel like
I think I would have liked it if it was spaced out.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair.
They're
or if he said it like really early in the movie or something.
He
and
might have said it
on.
early in the movie that I didn't catch, but he says it like 3 times in like that one sequence.
Yeah, he never said it on the show either. I don't think.
Maybe.
Not that I remember.
I don't know. He might have said it. I couldn't tell you. I will say this though about the movie. I think that Serenity is the opposite of the Buffy movie to the Buffy series. The Buffy movie is so-so, but the series is great. Yeah. And the Firefly series is slow, bumpy start, finish strong, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But this is better. I think this works better as a movie than the show. And then I think Buffy works better as a show than the movie did.
Yeah.
The difference is that Whedon did the show and the movie for Firefly and Serenity, but he wrote but did not direct the movie. And a lot of stuff changed in the movie for Buffy.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing that people always talk about with Firefly, though, is like it only got those 14 episodes and only 11 of them aired or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like if we would have judged Buffy off of the 12 episode first season, we might be like, well, this is kind of rough.
We did judge it off the first season. Still was down.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I did enjoy the first season.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess they just didn't.
I mean, it hadn't peaked or anything. It hadn't hit like its full potential, but it was definitely like, yeah, man, this is it.
I mean, I agree with you. The Firefly show did get off to a really rocky start, but towards the end there, like there were some really great episodes of Firefly. Yeah. But this movie is just so good.
I know. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I was watching it. I was like, man. And when you told me how much it made, it kind of bummed me out because I think it's better than making $1 million over its budget.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
I don't know what the market. I don't know what the marketing would be because Nathan Fillion, like I said, wasn't the biggest name. Like I think he became bigger because of this, and I think this movie did have some cult, like Firefly and Serenity have a cult following. But Summer Glau wasn't like a big name. Gina Torres isn't that big. Alan Tudyk wasn't who he is.
Yeah, there's no star power for the movie,
and this is early Chiwetel.
Yeah.
Also. Yeah.
I mean, man, it's just so good. And again, the presentation of it, even if you just like visually, is so much better.
Yeah.
Also, Nathan Fillion's hair looks great in this as well. He got a little highlights or something. I don't know what it is, but he looks good. This
is more of what I came to expect from Nathan Fillion because we watched Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, which will be maybe out this week on Patreon. And that is the version of Nathan Fillion that I knew because I'd never watched Firefly. So I've seen him in Serenity and then a bunch of other stuff. But
yeah,
I'm used to the jokey, charismatic kind of one person, and he has a lot more joke. He's a little more well-rounded in the movie.
Yeah, we get his moments of jokiness. We get his moments of just epic, badass moments.
Not to say he's not jokey in Firefly itself. There's something I noticed.
First episode where he pranks Simon.
No, the pranks are terrible.
But he's a jokester.
But I did when I was like going back through like objects in space. He does do a great eye roll when River says, he's like, am I dreaming? And she's like, we're all dreaming. And he has an eye roll that's so good. Now I caught that on a second look at.
Yeah, but like, I think it might also have to do with, so this wasn't distributed by Fox, which is, you know, where
Universal,
it aired. Yeah, this is Universal. So that could also potentially have something like the producers or something.
I don't know what I don't know what the marketing was, but Universal was cranking stuff out. I mean, Universal wasn't small.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that, dude, the presentation of this movie is just a lot and again, towards the end of that first season, Firefly got good. Mm-hmm. I'm not denying that. Like, those are some really strong episodes towards the end there, where it's really interesting stuff, to the point where I was like, oh man, this is a bummer that this got canceled.
Yeah. No,
but everything that they do in this movie with the same characters, like, I feel like a lot of these characters, with one exception, which I will talk about in a bit, is like the perfect best form of these characters that we didn't necessarily get to see in the show. Like, Mal is covering, he's serious, he's jokey, he's badass, like, perfect. Zoe gets to do some fucking emotional stuff. Wash is still kind of the same guy, but like, he's a side character. It's whatever.
And he fits,
Yeah. Jane, you get to see Jane's values as he's having a conversation with Kaylee as well. Kaylee's a different story. Kaylee's a little, I don't know what to think about Kaylee. Even based off of the show. Like, they do so many different weird things with her that I'm just like, what is she?
I did like that they have like actual grease on her face in the beginning instead of like the dusty chalk. It was like, oh, this is movie budget. She covered in actual grease instead of like some charcoal. But yeah, I'm with you. I did think with Jane, I felt like he was like, I'm in a movie, I'm going to ham it up a little more than normal.
He has some of his Jane wisecracks that he says in the background, which are great.
He's got some great... It's interesting how they use him as comic relief more than Alan Tudyk for those lines, you know? That's what I thought was interesting. Because Jane is the comic relief character when Simon's like, I have a trigger word to stop River when she goes into a crazy fight scene. And he starts to say it. And Jane gets up like, don't say it now. And Zoe just, it only works on River. And he's like, oh, well, all right. And then sits back down.
Now I know that. It's good to know that now. I mean, he also has that little line when Kaylee's talking about how like she hasn't been with a man that isn't battery operated in so long, and Mal is like, I don't want to hear any more about that, and Jane's like, I could stand to hear a little bit more about that.
Well, now that we're talking about that, we need to get into the Kaylee-ness of it. But I do want to mention one more Jane thing, which was towards the end when they're about to Reavers are attacking, and Zoe's like, do you think any of us are going to survive this? And he's like, I'm hoping I would survive it.
Yeah. But he also displays like heroic qualities in this as well. Like, Jane is like fighting and he's trying to like keep a level head where people are getting emotional. Yeah. And he's like, get down, get back. Like, you're not doing what we planned on.
He actually has a scene where he confronts Mal about like, this isn't the war. And it's like intense. And he's like, how many people did you guys leave behind then? And Zoe's like, you should leave the room. And he's like, you shouldn't be here. He's like, I don't want to. And then walks off. It was like,
yeah,
all right. Like, I like that everyone was able to like confront Mal and like he takes it, he internalizes it. Like, even Simon like hits him, and it's like now, what they were doing at the beginning. It was like what they were doing at the beginning of the show a little bit more of like Mal was at one point. Mal was such an asshole character that I was like, why is everyone following this leader? But now they're like, oh, we follow him because he's good at what he does, but we also will give it back to him.
Yeah. Checks and balances.
Yeah. Not full checks, and balances, but you know, you guys are just criminals on a ship, more or less.
Well, you also see like the good-heartedness and the conviction of Mal, which makes him a strong leader. And, you know, he even gives people outs a lot of times where he's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you don't agree with it, like, I respect that. You can leave.
Those outs are really tricky outs, though. I have a spaceship. I dropped you on an empty planet. If you don't do this, you can leave if you want. Or not. Those aren't like real options.
Yeah. But still an out. I could leave you on this abandoned, desolate planet where everyone's dead. If you don't want to come with me.
I guess I'll work on the engine some more and I'll beat the ship.
I know, and we're about to talk about Kaylee, but I just don't like Simon's depiction in this movie.
I think I'm better. Again, I like him more as a confident, like jaded robot character than what he was in the first half of Firefly. And I like that we saw him sneak in to rescue her as his opening scene. So we're like, oh, there's some competency to him. He knows how to and he talked about how he spent all his money to do this like escape and planning. I was like, okay, I like that. And then I like when he was he talking to Mal in the first scene and he was like, I can't tell what you're thinking. Like, are you afraid? And he's like, they kind of change him up from the show, but I'm okay with that because I didn't love the beginning of him in the show. So
yeah, I will say the beginning of him in the show is a lot more like just weird and wimpy kind of, and
it wasn't the right balance of rich Alliance kid that was spoiled, fish out of water. They never found that. They never found the fish out of water element, and I think that's what he should have been. Where it's more like questioning, curiosity, slowly gaining the ability to be a part of them, instead of how Anara ended up being like, oh, I can be a part of the crew. It should have been like Simon slowly, or Simon just stays the nerdy doctor. You know, I mean, that's really, but
I will say
he's more confident and more.
He's confrontational. Like I would say,
more
like
confrontational.
2/3 of this movie, he's just like in Mal's face, like yelling at him, and I was just like, this is not really the Simon I remember.
It also doesn't make sense
they just,
for
like,
8 months.
I think that they just they turned him up a notch too far.
Fair enough.
Where I'm just like, this is like quite a departure from what I've seen. Like, and I know that we started to like Simon a bit more towards the end of Firefly, but like this feels like a bit too confrontational, too extreme, to the point where like I'm like, yeah, Mal, just kick him off at this point. Like,
he also doesn't do anything most of the movie.
True, very true.
Yeah, because he has
except his little initial breakout, which was pretty badass. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that was fine. And then he doesn't actually have anything to do besides be around River, say some stuff, explain. He's like an exposition dump a little bit.
Yeah, we don't even see him do his doctor stuff too much. Like he has a couple of moments, but not really.
Yeah, he sprays up like he punches Mal that one time, which is the confrontational stuff you're talking about. And then when Zoe is so broken up by Wash that she forgets how military works. They have those guys pinned in the doorway. Just shoot at the entrance.
Yeah, bullets
still kill them. They are still humans. But then she gets sliced.
Stand up in front of all of the guns.
Yeah, and then she gets.
This is where Jane is like, "What are you doing? Get down, dude!
Yeah.
Like you're in."
And then Simon just like caulks her back. he just like seals her back closed with some foam. It was like, all right,
future medicine, baby.
It's like it didn't hit your spine. She's like, seal it up.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk
about
as
much doctrine.
We're gonna talk about
from Simon.
We're gonna talk about Kaylee. Let's talk about Kaylee, but remind me to bring up the medical stuff in this.
Okay, let's talk about Kaylee now.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy. That's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Let's hear, because I would love to hear your take on what they did with Kaylee.
So towards the end of this movie, I wrote down in my notes, is Kaylee on the spectrum? And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Because the scene when the Reavers are coming in and she's like, oh man, I'm going to die. I don't want this. Blah. I didn't think I was going to die like this. And then Simon out of nowhere talks about the show that if you watch this movie by yourself, you have no idea why he's talking like this. And he's like, oh, I really wish, the one thing I regret is not being with you. And then she's like, wait, we would have had sex? And he's like, yeah, sex. And then she cocks the gun and goes, well, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, screw that. I'm living.
And I was like, is she okay? Because that is insane.
That seems more like something Jane would say.
Yes, right? And when she was talking about the, I've only had, sex with my vibrators, and Mal is all offended because he's clutching his pearls. And Jane was like, I want to hear more about that. I'm like, Kaylee, if you're just down for sex, you got a penis behind you. Like you could have sex with Jane and Jane would just be like, yeah, that's fine. And he's not going to be emotionally attached to you at all. And we saw you guys hanging out, talking together.
Yeah. She was like raising her eyebrows at Jane because, Jane was doing his monologue and it's full of Janeisms, which was great.
Sure. But the way that Kaylee's written is like horny, openly talking about this. I feel like she would just be like, one of those nights, too much of that, whatever booze, too much of the sake, the rice wine. And she's knocking on somebody's door.
I will say this. To defend Kaylee's open sexual nature and stuff.
I'm fine with the open sexual nature. But
no, it's not even. I legitimately know at least one woman that's in my life right now who is like, oh my God, I can't get a guy to touch me. And she's like gorgeous. And it's not that she can't have sex. She wants to have sex with somebody that like she's into. Which is like she wants to be horny for a guy that she's in love with, which I feel like that's kind of a common symptom. Like there's that whole debate about like who's hornier, men or women. And it's like, oh, women are hornier or whatever. But it's like a different type of horniness because women want to fuck like crazy the person that they love and dudes will just fuck anybody.
I think it's more person specific than gender specific. I think we like to just throw those in a bucket.
Well, yeah, generalities though.
But I think the show, because we did watch Firefly, I think the flashback of Kaylee hooking up with the previous engine person really always throws me off.
Yes, dude. Yes, it so much throws me off that it really like, even the last episode with Early, when Early's talking about like complimenting the ship and the engine, I was like, oh, Kaylee's gonna fuck that guy. Like that's just like her trigger. Like River has a sleep word. Kaylee has a horny word. It's complimenting an engine.
There's very little engine talk in this. And I just thought about this because I was keeping my ear open for this. Mal not once says the word whore in this. He doesn't say whore.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right.
I was like, oh yeah, is he gonna say it? He's not.
Yeah.
So is this even Firefly? If he's not calling,
this isn't true to the characters of the Firefly.
But just when Kaylee cocks the gun and is like, I'm not dying today, I was like, this is one, not an earned moment because Simon has been a nothing throughout this.
Yeah.
And then, I was confused. I was like, is her whole character is being shocked the whole movie and then wanting to have sex with Simon. That's like it. Yeah. The whole time she's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's her whole, they don't give her anything else to do.
Well, they make her so naive that when she's like mega horny, that it kind of throws you off, where she's like so good-hearted and naive and good-natured that like you brought up a lot when we were talking about the show. It's like, have you not been on this ship for a while? You know the crazy, awful stuff that goes on here, that she's always shocked. But then sometimes when they're doing like a train job, she's not shocked and she's like perfectly explaining what's happening.
Yeah.
Like what? Kaylee, yeah. I mean, even throughout all of the show and the continuation into this movie, there's this like, I don't really know exactly what she is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't like that character, but it's just like they confuse me so much with what they show me.
And they didn't do what they needed to do, which is have her like fixing something that goes wrong in the engine. Like, I didn't watch Star Trek and stuff, but I feel like there's stuff where the ship's going and she has to like fix something or like screw something in really quick. There's one time where she throws a wrench at Mal when River's going kind of psycho on the ship, it seems. And they're like, oh boy, she just knocked out Jane. She's just going rogue. And she throws a wrench at Mal, and Mal catches it really cool, does a swing over, and he's like cranking open a vent. And I was like, that needs to be, I mean, it's cool for Mal to do it, but I need something where there's so many scenes where Mal's like, okay, Kaylee, you got 2 hours to do 24 hours worth of work. Go. And it's like, that's not going to be fun for us to watch unless it's a montage and we see her with the...
You know, we're going to have a montage.
Yeah. But there's never like her doing anything to help the mission. And then at the end, she has a gun. And it's like, we don't know that she doesn't shoot if this is your first movie.
Yeah. If you watch the show, this is like very out of character. Like, she had such a hard time shooting all those Alliance people on Ariel, so much so that that's where we get revealed that River is a assassin, crazy, violent thing.
Did you think for this last fight scene where they're like shooting at this one door and then they're like, we're going to hold them off, right? But behind them was a door that could close that no one could get through? Why didn't they just go through that door?
Yeah, no idea.
I was like, wait, that was an option the whole time?
Well, their plan was like to bottleneck all the Reavers through this one door, but then they have like the impenetrable door behind them that doesn't close all the way. It's like, even if it didn't close all the way, that's still more of a bottleneck than the door. Like, Reavers could do is just like stick their head through that little window type thing.
I guess if you locked yourself in there, then there's no way to get out. But if you lock yourself in there,
you're not dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you could have just waited. So there's like a running kind of gag through the movie too, where on the first mission where they go to that planet where Glenn Howerton is to rob the banknotes, Jane wants to bring a bunch of grenades to it, and Mal's like, no grenades. But then at the end fight where like the Reavers are all bottlenecked through the door, Mal's like, did you bring them? And Jane's like, of fucking course I brought the grenades. And I was like, that is an excellent payoff.
Yes.
Because I forgot all about that.
Yeah. That is good spaced out, good character stuff. Jane is like, yeah, I wanted these. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they throw the grenades really early on and they maybe kill like, 3 or 4 Reavers when it seems like there's hundreds. Like, they could have been in that little hallway with the impenetrable door. Just chuck the grenades through that little hole, wait for more Reavers to show up, and then you kill a lot more, I feel like.
I did like Mal's plan, and it reminded me a lot of Avengers Endgame, where they attacked the Reaver ships and then flew out of orbit at them. And the operative's like, they're not even changing course, idiots. And then you go, do, and then all the Reaver ships are there. And he's like, this is the first time I've seen him panic.
Yes,
he's like,
it's the only time the operative panics.
Yeah, he's like, shoot the Reaver, fire everything.
Somebody fire something.
Yeah.
Which I love as a moment to show how dangerous the Reavers are too.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good because
it's such a well-made movie. Yeah.
The operative is like this calm, collected, very just, hey, I'm in control of every situation that I'm in. And Mal's plan when they're flying off of Miranda after they, show the entire galaxy or whatever, what the Alliance has done. He shoots one of the Reaver ships, gets all of the Reaver ships to chase him, leads them directly to the Alliance. So it's like, we're just going to fly past the Alliance while they deal with the Reavers. Like, fuck them. Such a great plan.
Great plan.
Such a good plan, dude.
And I didn't even I couldn't even tell what was going on at first. And then when I realized, I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, like just making Mal good at what he does. Mm-hmm. And like when they also do a classic thing where you have the villain meet the hero in the middle of the movie when Mal goes to see Inara, who she doesn't need to be in the movie.
She really doesn't.
I mean, they shoehorned in that like ending of them being with her being like, maybe I don't want to leave. He's like, good choice. And I'm like, you don't want to leave after what you just been through? You are insane.
You flew through a mountain of Reavers, dude.
But
wait, was she on the ship for that? Oh yeah, she was. She was on Miranda. Yeah.
Once they get, it's because they go. I did like that she sends a message because the operative goes to Inara's planet, shows up there, and he wants them to call and get Mal to come over. And we have this like little cutesy scene, and I was like, "What is this?" Because I can tell, I know that she's like being coerced into it, and I did love that he knew that it was a trap.
Number one, I loved the scene where the operative shows up to see Inara, and Inara's got her whole, like, I'm a companion, like, dignified thing, like, this is what we're going to do here. And the operative just kind of looks up at her, and she immediately knows, she's like, oh, something's up.
Yeah.
Loved that. And it's there's no word said.
Nope. Yeah.
It's just a look. Mm-hmm. Great stuff.
Yeah. And visual storytelling. Yep.
It's so good, dude. And then, like, the video call that she does to Mal to be like, hey, we got some trouble happening on the planet. And Mal's like, oh, okay. Do you need help with that? And she's like, yeah, it'd kind of be good. There's payment. And then, they have their awkward, like, we used to be into each other kind of tension. And the whole crew is watching too. But then Mal is like, all right, yeah, well, we'll come to, hook you up with some protection or whatever. Mal goes to the cockpit and he's like, we all know that's a trap, right? You all were watching. That's definitely a trap. And they're like, well, how do you, dude?
Yeah.
And this is the Kaylee thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kaylee's like, well, how do you know that Inara doesn't just want to see you? And Mal goes, you all watched the video call, right? And they're all like, yeah. He's like, did you see us fighting? And then they're like, no. And then Mal's like, then it's a trap. Yeah. Like something's up.
Now, that is something that you have to know the show for. That is some show shorthand, because the moment that we are introduced to Inara in this movie is Mal looking at like a video and a photo of her, kind of like
like a video
of her like leaving
type thing.
Yeah, and we're like, who? If you're just watching it, you're like, who is she? I guess this is a lady he likes. You don't know what a companion is because we don't really go into companionhood in this movie.
Yeah, I think they only say the word companion once, but they just say like Inara's at a training center.
Yeah, they don't say this is what she does.
Mal doesn't call her a whore. No. I mean, how are we supposed to know?
Honestly, I could see it not making the money back if he showed up at her place and was like, hey, how's it going, whore? And they'd be like, whoa, this is our hero? Because that's how I felt watching Firefly. I was like, dude, chill, man. You don't have to introduce her like that to book. That's so wrong. Like, do you like this person or not?
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, Inara just doesn't have anything to do. But when he goes to see Inara, and then the operative shows up and they have their little fight and their battle and they're talking, and he's like,
they have their physical fight, their philosophical fight,
verbal jousting.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mal's not going to beat this guy, but I just saw him just take out some people.
Yeah, I saw him Vulcan neck pinch some guy and paralyze him or whatever and make him fall on a sword, which that was pretty badass.
Yeah. The way he's just waiting there and calling that lady to go find some paperwork or something, some files.
You know what would have been a pretty decent moment is if the operative called Inara a whore and Mal's like, companion.
Mal just hulks out.
But this scene with the operative, Inara, and Mal, like Mal shows up in a disguise and Inara's like, you idiot. Like, why did you even come? I was not expecting you to come. You knew it was a trap. And Mal's like, yeah, but if it's a trap, it means that you're in danger. And like, I don't want you. You're part of my crew or whatever.
Family.
Yeah.
Serenity's about family. Once you're on the ship, you're family.
But then the operative shows up and he's like, look, man, we need River Tam. I'm not here. I'm not threatening you. And this is like the best moment in the movie, I feel like, or one of the best moments, is he's talking to Mal and he's like, I don't want to fight. I just want River. She's got stuff that we need. The Alliance is worried that she's going to expose she's going to be a whistleblower. I'm not here to fight. In fact, I came here unarmed. And as soon as the word unarmed comes out of his mouth, Mal goes, good, quick draw McGraw, shoots him. I was like, fuck yes, dude.
Yeah, that's some Han Solo stuff right there.
Yeah. But then the operative is like, hey, idiot, I'm still wearing full body armor. Yeah. And then the fight happens. And I was like, this is such a good movie, dude.
It always works when you get the bad guys, like because you see them chasing you, like this guy's a threat. How are we going to get the two of them together? Because you want the two of them in the scene together. So you get them together, and Inara's lighting some incense that isn't incense, and it blinds them, and it's like perfect timing for when it goes off. And she's getting knocked around the room too.
Yeah,
like he's fighting Mal, and then just being like, "Get out of here!" And she's flying against the
operative. The operative has no problem beating up Inara. But hey, Inara is trying to attack him, but he is chucking her, bro.
Later when he attacks, like he's the one that like attacks where Book is staying and kills all the people there. And then somehow they're able to call the ship, but not track the ship. And he's like, oh, you'll kill, and Mal says, you'll kill women and children and whatever. He's like, yeah, I'll if I have to. Like, he's just straight up. I love a bad guy like that. That's just like, yeah, I'm just going for it.
Now, he has a code, though, it seems, which early, like, what is your code? We know the operative's code. Yes. He's like, get the mission done, any means necessary. Mm-hmm. Like, if I would rather not kill women and children, but if they're in my way, I'm going to fucking do it.
He said, it was like, what was the saying? If your person you're hunting going to go to ground, make sure there's no ground to go to. So they were like attacking every place that they go to hide. Somehow they know that information. Not sure how, but movie jump.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too because it's just nice. It just works. It just works for the flow of them. Nothing takes you out of the flow of the movie, and it's staged very simply. Like the intro gives you everything. Then when they go to the place to find the information out about the PAX thing, it's like everything levels up, you know? And somehow River gets them there. And then she's like, I'm cured. They were like, yeah, it's time for her to like be less crazy.
Now,
we haven't talked enough about River.
I was going to say, let's talk about River in this movie.
I was waiting for this in Firefly, man. I was just waiting for her to start fighting people, and it never happened.
Yeah, like she outwits some people sometimes, but like the crazy Manchurian candidate, like crazy, like karate high kicks.
She killed somebody in that. She shot somebody in that scene.
Yeah, dude, she goes off. She fights like 40 people in a bar at the beginning, and Mal is there, and he's just like watching, like, is that fucking River? Like Jane, like kind of elbows him, like, is that fucking River?
My favorite part of this thing is when she knocks out Jane. Like, she's knocked out everyone else. Jane gets knocked out last, but at the end of that, Jane's the one waking up. I'm like, you should be more knocked out than the person she knocked out 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
but it's just classic.
Sure.
But it's just like classic movie stuff.
Now, I will say I do So at this point, Mal has agreed to like kick Simon off of the ship. Simon's like in Mal's face, and Mal is like, you know what? Then get the fuck off the ship. Maybe it is best that you get off. And Simon's like, fine. And, Kaylee's there like, they're not going to survive a second out there, Mal. How could you be so heartless? Blah, blah, blah.
It made me question how they all came together. I was like, is it the same way as Firefly?
This is supposed to be a continuation, so I would assume so.
But they are retconning certain things a little bit here and there. But,
But yeah, so Mal has agreed to like kind of abandon River and Simon on this like city planet, and Mal's trying to like do his job where he's like meeting up with these twins and giving them their cut of the job. And typical Serenity, Firefly job stuff, like they want a bigger cut, and Mal's like, hey, motherfucker, you can't be doing that. That wasn't the deal we agreed upon. But yeah, then River just beats the fuck out of everybody after getting her subliminal message. I did like that after she beats up everybody, Jane kind of bear hugs her, and Jane is obviously, he's in the show, no fan of River. Mm-hmm. But he comes at it from like, hey, it's me. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's me, it's Jane. Like, I'm not trying to fight you. I'm just trying to like subdue you. Like, what's going on here? Which was a weird, interesting moment because it shows like maybe he does have a little bit of that she's part of the crew type of thing that Mal has instilled.
And then she grabs his junk. And we linger on that for way too long.
Yeah, it is a very, and like, I didn't know if it was like painful junk grab because the look on his face is like, I'm intrigued.
Continue.
But then it's also established that she's 17. And then you're like,
yeah, but this is like space future. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, Old West space. What's the age of consent in Old West space? Who knows?
If he said 18, I'd be like, oh, no, she's fine. That person that's been like talking to herself and going crazy all the time, she's fine. Because she's 18. But she's 17 and a half. No.
Yeah, legal adult crazy person. Yeah, that's fine.
Jane's just watching a clock. Tick. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was so weird. They like held on it. I was like, is she gonna punch him or is she just gonna grab? I don't know. It just lingers too long.
Yeah. And like she does knock him out or whatever, knocks him down at least. And then like you have the Mexican standoff of Mal with River, the gun pull. And that's when Simon shows up and says the like go to sleep word. Mm-hmm. And then everybody looks at Simon like, where the fuck is this been, dude?
Yeah. I hated that they didn't. We said this in Buffy where they need their code words. When Simon's saying it to them and later when he's talking about it, they didn't like go, hey, can you tell us what the word is so we can all say it if she goes ham on us? I was like, yeah, tell us the word. He starts to say it and Jane freaks out. And then he never goes back to saying it again. I'm like, say the word again. Yeah, I want to know
write
that.
It down.
That should be written on the walls. Yeah. If she looks at me funny, I'm just going to be like, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not, because then Mal will use it as a prank as she's like fucking trying to eat and she's just face down in soup.
She's curious.
Like, it's just a prank. She's fucking face full of chicken noodle now.
She drowned in her soup.
Oh my God.
But no, I was expecting the fighting for, because she loves doing that like split on the wall
thing.
Yes.
The split on the ceiling. That is her fucking move, dude.
She does it so many times.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think she does it at least twice in the movie where she's just like split on the ceiling, like dangling.
Yeah.
It's a good move.
Looks cool. I was expecting that in Firefly. I was like, this is what I've seen this the opposite way. I saw Serenity. Mm-hmm. The only thing I remembered from the movie besides her fighting was I didn't remember until it happened, but it was when Mal at the end gets like hit in that like paralyzed spot.
The little liver spot thing.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, because I was about to write my notes. Why is he not liver spotting him? Why is he not like knocking him out like the beginning? And they're like, oh, here it is. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then Mal just is pretending because I guess he knows that that's a knockout spot. He has shrapnel from the war, so it's all gone. He like
nerve cluster or whatever they say.
So he elbows the operative in the throat and then does like a back break paralyzer on him.
Yeah, I didn't know what that move was because he puts him in like a DDT,
like chicken winging him or something.
Yeah, he chicken wings him and then like knees him, and then you hear a bunch of cracking of bones, and I was like, what exactly is breaking here?
And then Chiwetel's face is like, oh, and like he can't move. And I was like, this is crazy. And then the way he locks him with the sword,
that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that end fight between the operative and Mal is like pretty damn good. You know, they're swinging from chains. They're on a platform.
You know what you know what it looks like? It looks like Niska's little room, but like with a much bigger budget.
Yes, 100%. But yeah, that fight scene, you know, they're going at it. I love the little moment where the operative has his sword and then Mal's just like grabbing towards a toolbox and he just pulls out like a screwdriver.
Mm-hmm.
And I also love that Mal looks fucked up in that fight. Like he is getting bloodied. He's not as fucked up as he should be in like real life.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this stuff. And it starts with Jane getting shot with a harpoon through the calf.
Bro, that was gnarly.
And he is dangling off hanging off the speeder. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you're going to lose that leg.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's dangling off the speeder. The harpoon is in his leg, and the Reaver ship is like trying to pull him back. It's like, that's so gnarly, dude.
And then all that happens is he just bandages it up and walks with like a limp for like half a scene. I was like, he shouldn't be able to walk.
That's the off-screen Simon medical craziness.
And what happens with Mal is he is trying to get to this basement level of the computers, and he starts to like monkey bars across. He's getting ready to monkey bars across to get to it. And he gets shot in the back.
Mm-hmm.
He turns around. It's like, oh, you shoot me in the back, blah, 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 whatever. I forget how he like knocks the operative back a little bit, but then just jumps up and starts trying to monkey bar across. I'm like, you were just shot in the fucking back.
It's not even monkey bar because the operative uses a monkey bar. Mal is swinging like fucking Tarzan on chains, which
that's when he gets kicked off. At first he's climbing, and then
you're right. I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
And then the operative kicks him, and he falls possibly to his death, but he lands on some chains, and then he's swinging across, and then he gets literally run through with the sword.
Yes,
all the way through, like all the way through.
Yeah,
and is still punching. He's been shot in the back and stabbed, and is still walking around and punching and winning the fight. He has not bled out. I was like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
He does look rough, though. He does look worse for wear, but
he looks. That makes me think that the doctor who fell on the sword is still alive, right? Like it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, he even after he gets stabbed with the sword, like
he pulls
it
out.
He pulls it out of himself. After punching the operative, he like takes a step with the sword still in him.
He's
pulls
still
it
talking
out.
Shit.
Yeah, and he's like, because that's the scene where the operative is like, you know what your sin is? And Mal goes, oh, what the hell? I'll have all 7 of them. Mm-hmm. Punches the operative down, pulls the sword out, and he goes, but right now I'm feeling wrath. Badass fucking action movie line. Mm-hmm. Love that. Then tries to stab the operative on the ground. The operative, like, he dodges out of the way. But, like, bro, that's, yeah.
The fact that he got shot in the back and just got back up. What are we doing?
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like they could have balanced it out where like it's injuries, but not like death injuries.
Yeah. You graze a little bit, like you were saying to the
shoulder shot. Everybody loves the shoulder shot. Somehow you can still use your arm if you get shot in the shoulder.
But I do love the philosophical end to the fight with them because, you know, Mal eventually gets the upper hand. He sends out the broadcast about the Reavers and how the Alliance created the Reavers, but he like pins the operative against that pole with his sword. the operative is like somehow paralyzed. I don't know what the fuck Mal did to him when he cracked all of his bones. Like he just gave him an adjustment that just.
He's a bad guy. He's a bad.
Mal is kind of talking to him like, "Hey, I'm going to give you what you always wanted. I'm going to show you a world without sin." And then he just sends out the thing, and the operative watches the video that they saw on Miranda of Sarah Paulson giving like a diary update about what went wrong with the packs or whatever, and how it made a lot of people too docile and it killed everybody, and then at 10% of the population turned them into the Reavers. And you see the operative looking at that, and he's kind of like, oh fuck, everything I believed in is wrong, kind of, and this is, wow, my belief has been shattered. And it just like fucks with his head. And you see that escape of belief in him. And it was just like so powerful to see him paralyzed watching. He failed. His belief system is shattered. Like, dude, it's so fucking good.
And he's got a little bit of a tear kind of coming out of his eye. Chiwetel's doing it, man. He's doing it.
Yeah.
Here. He's doing it here. And yeah, thematically, it perfectly works.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Mal could ever figure out how to operate that computer system, but sure, whatever. It's just a bunch of like, I looked at that thing and I'm like, there's wires dangling and
yeah. When Mr. Universe tells Mal through his robot girlfriend, like, hey, I have this place, it's in the secret lair downstairs, and then you see all of the wires and screens everywhere. I was like, I
love Mal's like hard to get to. Dude, watching the operative like take the escape hatch out and that close up of him in that hatch landing back on the planet was really cool. And then
when he jumped into the tube.
Yeah, and then when he actually walked past the sex wife bot, and it keeps repeating the recorded message to Mal. Like it has like a motion detector, and he hears that. It's like, oh, that's good. He's going to come down there. We're going to get another battle. Just great little quick scenes that you need that just to know that like that just works enough so that the operative doesn't just randomly show up down there.
100%.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Yeah, the setup with the sex robot. Joss loves himself a fucking sex robot, dude.
He's got his things. He got his things.
But yeah, that was like such a good moment of like, because there have been times where we've been watching the show and we're like, how did that person know to get there or whatever?
And possibly they might have filmed these scenes and then cut them out for time. That usually happens sometimes. So, but
like that was such a good setup of like, oh, that's how the operative gets that information. And it just pays off so well. Like,
did you?
And even like when they, sorry, what were you going to say?
Do you like that he gives that the Alliance people storm in after River has just murked a whole room full of, like, that's a fun fight. I mean, she's a badass.
Yeah,
River's great. River's great in this movie. Like, I mean, they do a good job with her in this movie. This is
much better job than in the fucking show where I was just like, ugh, she's so annoying.
But did you
even the dream stuff works better in the movie?
They balance it out really well. Did you like that? That the Alliance showed up and they're like, "Do we have the kill? Do we have the?"
I actually, honestly, did not like that.
I don't like it necessarily for just the way it tracks, but I do like it for the story of him saying stand down and the fact that sparing that guy's life eventually saves their life down the line. Yeah. But I don't buy that everything that was happening and they're like, hey, guy that we don't even know is still alive. Do we have the
Well, I was confused because they asked him for like an order. Do we have the authority to kill River Tam?
Yeah.
And like 2 seconds ago, we saw the operative like he couldn't talk because he got his throat smashed in. And then he's just like over the intercom like, no, don't kill him. She's fine.
What intercom? Wait. What does he have? Why do they even know he's on a planet?
Yeah. Did Simon like foam his mouth up or whatever? Foam his throat and
oh my God, I forgot Simon gets shot.
Yeah.
Somehow just survives that.
Yes, dude.
Because River throws the bag in there. She does go to close that door in the bag. She's like, you've protected me. Now I'm going to protect you. Bag, close the door. But they don't even... I get that they wanted River to do it, but Kaylee's like, I can't... The switch to close the door's out there. I can't do it. I have nothing to do in this. Do you want to have sex, Simon, before you die?
Do you think you can get hard while you're shot? I get one more in. See, that was my one kind of big-ish critique of the movie. If I had to pick something apart, is River just waits for like 3 people to die before she goes kill mode.
I was waiting for her to go kill mode way before then. I get it, movie. They span it out. I knew once he got shot, I was like, when is she going to go crazy on it? Because we're going to get another fight scene. And then he just gets shot. Somehow he gets shot, but then they do a good job of showing Jane still shooting back. And they quiet it up while they have a moment.
Because Jane gets shot. Zoe gets sliced on the back. Mm-hmm. And then Simon gets shot. And then River's like, all right, 3, that's
Meanwhile, Kaylee just standing up in the line. I was like, get down.
But that was my big thing of this, like, wow, River's really waiting for the last second here. Like, she does not give a fuck about Jane or Zoe or anybody. She's just going to wait until that. I mean, I get, like, it's Simon.
It's a movie, yeah.
It's a movie. Also, it's Simon. Like, that's the person that's closest to her. But, like, can we get a fucking trigger word to make her go crazy, please?
That would be great if Jane's like, we could use something now.
Yeah.
He starts just saying,
but it was bad.
This Chinese. The Chinese is still here. It still doesn't work for me, but it's
Goram is still here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, like you were saying, River's fight scenes are awesome.
Yeah. That's what I was waiting for in Firefly. I was like, let's get him. And then the most we get is her shooting 3 people blindly.
Yeah.
You know what I did do for this, though?
What's that?
I poured it over a little quote unquote.
Quote unquote, usually an exclusive for Patreon Angel.
Yeah.
Let's hear some quote unquotes. What do we got?
So I have a quote, 2 unquotes that are related. They're like Whedonisms. Classic, like Buffy Whedonisms. Early Buffy Whedonisms. I have a quote that's a visual, like it's not even a quote. It's a line, but the look that came after the line is really what did it. So I have a quote, the unquotes, and like the look.
Let's do the look first, because I'm curious about what that could be.
So this is when Simon's with River, and she's like talking about like Miranda.
Oh, yeah.
And then Simon goes, because paint the scene, River's really like out of it. Like, I have these voices, I don't know what I'm saying all the time. Like, she's really like feeling it. She's going through it, right?
River's doing Firefly the show River stuff in this
and
scene.
She's handcuffed because she's already gone crazy a bit and like been fighting people and stuff. And he's like taking care of her, like, you know, that damp towel on the forehead,
the moist towelette.
that never gets the blood makeup off. It's just like, but and she mentions this Miranda thing, and Simon goes, and am I talking to Miranda now? And the look that River gives him, like, are you fucking kidding me? Is so good. It's so good.
She looks so like over it. She's disgusted with like, no, you idiot.
And I'm with Simon too. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't know the levels of this thing. But honestly, her disdain was so good. It was
such a great little moment. Like her look of disgust.
Because her head kind of just drops and she like looks up over at him like, you come on.
Yeah.
Might be my favorite River moment of the whole series.
Yeah, you know what? It's up there for sure.
Yeah.
What is the A quote?
The quote is, I think this is after they find out about the Pax and what created the Reavers. Mm-hmm. Mal says, and this is on theme, he says, half of writing history is hiding the truth.
Yeah.
I was like, that's
fucking
awesome.
Wisdom out of.
I was like, that was a great one.
Yeah, that's a great line. Because, you know, they always say, like, winners are the ones who write history. Mm-hmm. Not only do they write, they leave shit out about, like, how fucked up everything was that they've done.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Good stuff, man. Some wisdom within Serenity. I mean, even in Firefly, when there was that interrogation scene where, the guy is talking to Mal and he's like, oh yeah, I heard you fought on the wrong side of the war. And Mal was like, fought on the losing side. Not so sure if it was the wrong side.
Yeah.
Great little moment too. Great quote. But yeah, like that, what you were just saying, your quote of the episode about like hiding history. Very good, very wise, very deep, meaningful stuff.
Yeah. Hiding the truth.
Now on the opposite end of the spectrum, what are the unquotes of the movie?
You remember early Buffy where everyone would have like little inner like post-scene monologues to themselves?
Yes, I do.
We get 2 of them here. And they're both, I think, I'm trying to think, this came out in 2005, right? Or something. So I'm like, we hadn't seen this is probably prevalent in media, but not as prevalent as it is now. Like, it's so tropey to see something like this now than it would have been then.
There are like spoof TikToks about Marvel movies about like, he's right behind me, isn't he?
Yeah,
and all that kind of shit.
That kind of thing. Yeah. So this one is when they're dropping off River and Simon's talking to her and he's like, oh, you want to stay with them, don't you? And then she goes, it isn't safe for them.
Yeah.
You're like, I was like, and you're just waiting. You're like, okay, the camera hasn't cut. She's got one more part to that. And
I did not enjoy that at all. I was like, ugh.
And then there was another line. I'm looking at it. I can't remember exactly who said it, but the line is, oh no, this is Inara. She goes, oh, it's when she's talking to Mal or something. And then Mal says, I wish you were elsewhere. And then she goes, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's when Inara first comes back like onto the ship and Mal is just like, oh, you're making everything so complicated. You've been on here for 2 seconds. I got my ass kicked by the operative.
Yeah.
Thanks for the flash bomb and saving my life, but you're such a asshole.
Yeah, it's just something like, this isn't the war anymore. It's like, when I'm in my war mode, you'll know, that kind of thing.
I did think that was pretty badass though. Yeah. When she says something about like, I've seen so many sides to you and like whatever, then Mal gets up in her face and he's like, if I go into war, Mal, I'll definitely show you something that you've never seen. And it's like, whoa, I want to see war, Mal.
We kind of see him at the end after Book dies, and I love that he shoots the guy getting out of the ship, and he's just like laying down the law. Yeah, he's great. He's great in this. He's great in it. Yeah.
Again, like, and even the speech that he gives to everyone when he's kind of laying out his plan to defeat the Reavers, and he's just like, look, I've asked a lot from you guys. Right now, I'm going to ask even more from you. Like, and if you don't fuck with me, like, I get it, and I'm sorry, but like, this is what's going down. And you see Captain Reynolds, you see like the higher up in the military, like this is what he does to inspire. You see, he's a good leader.
The one thing during the whole time when they're going to Miranda, which turns out to be that planet, it's so funny that they're not paying any attention to River.
Yeah.
The whole time I'd be like watching her, like she's just kind of in the back doing her own thing. And I'm like, guys, like this is the person that's been having the visions that pointed you to it. Like you guys should be like all about her. Like like keep an eye on the person that's can lose her shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when they're traversing through Miranda and River is just like kind of frolicking for a little bit, and then she starts to have her visions of like, oh, it's just all death. It's death. Everybody's dead. And everyone's like, what's wrong with her again? Typical River shit. Oh, here we go. Simon, say that sleep word or whatever.
I love in these space battles when they're flying through space and people are just standing in the break. And like you cut outside and they're like going upside down and around and like people are just standing. And then later they're all like seat belted in and like, but they're like, they're holding the seat and they're looking out the window like, okay, you think you could do this? I'm like, buckle in, buddy.
Yeah. Like Mal is just like holding onto a handrail and like kind of like bouncing up and down. When Jane, like everybody buckles in and Jane doesn't buckle in, he's like still trying to grab some stuff. Yeah. I was fully expecting, because you see the outside of the ship, fucking Wash is doing like corkscrews and stuff.
Yeah,
I was expecting Jane to be like bouncing up and down.
When they get to the planet, they're like spinning around and everyone's like hanging on for dear life, but they're like in the seats at that point. But before, they're just all like, and here we go. I'm like, he just went upside down. You're going to fall onto the ceiling.
Yeah, I was looking at that and thinking, I was like, what kind of gravity do they have on the ship that they're just cool with that?
Yeah.
And we even see like when they're landing on Miranda, we get some like G-force type stuff because they're spinning around and Wash, Zoe, and Mal are like about to pass out and like barf, and then eventually Wash gets like the backup generator going to stabilize stuff.
If you get motion sickness, I don't really get it that much, but that scene would do it to you. That scene would do it to you.
Yeah, it was a little nuts, but it was
visceral.
cool
Very
to
visceral.
see. Yeah, it was cool to see the G-force stuff of like, dude, their eyes are like rolling in the back of their heads and stuff, and they're all tilted sideways. Dude, so much of this is so well done. Like,
do you think Wash needed to die?
I don't feel like it adds anything to the movie.
No, it just makes Zoe go a little too crazy at the end, but that doesn't really do anything either. Because I was like, I hope she doesn't just die trying to like avenge this, and she doesn't. And it leads to an okay moment when they're back on the ship, and they're like, rough roads ahead, but we'll get through it. Like,
that little double entendre conversation about like, hey, is the ship okay? Wink, wink. And Zoe's like, the ship is fine. It's a little rough, but like, we'll get through it. Wink, wink, wink.
I don't know if that's necessarily like needed, but it's really, their marriage isn't as strongly portrayed as it is in the show here too. But I mean, it was shocking. I'll say that. It was definitely a shocking death. So I'm surprised he didn't survive it. Everyone else was surviving getting stabbed through.
So I don't really mind that Wash died. I think that it doesn't add anything. I don't think it subtracts much. I do think it's weird afterwards that now River is like the pilot of the ship.
Co-pilot,
but she's going to take over.
And that Mal has to drive the ship, you know?
Yeah, because like the whole thing is like Mal needed a pilot. Like, I guess he learned a little bit how to fly the ship. But
well, he knows how to fly it. He was flying it before they got a pilot too, probably.
True. But yeah, to see like River like beep, boop, 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 beep, boop at the cockpit afterwards, I was like, well, I guess she does know everything and she can feel everything.
I guess my least favorite is like the whole love monologue about flying a ship at the end. It's fine, but I don't think that's like the whole theme of the... I mean, it was her family. It was kind of her like B-story family crew thing, but I thought it was a little heavy.
It was like a tying the knot on like family. Yeah, like home is where the heart is, and home is the ship, or whatever kind of speech.
Yeah, it was a little. I thought it was a little too much, but yeah. But I was vibing. I loved that he had a little moment with the operative at the end,
where they kind of are like seeing eye to eye, and the operative is like, I'm talking to the parliament saying that River and Simon aren't really they'll be off your case for at least a little bit.
Well, I mean, the damage is done. Like, it's already out. Like, what's coming after you going to do now? And you can't, there's no more new information to say.
Yeah.
And then he's also like, I'm not their man anymore, too, because I didn't get this job done. So I'm surprised he didn't like throw himself on the sword, because isn't that his whole thing?
Yeah, he did give that speech to the doctor. You would have kind of expected that, because he did fail the mission, but I think it was also.
But now he doesn't believe in that cause at all.
Yeah,
anymore.
His belief system is like shaken, so he doesn't know what to believe, and he's kind of independent.
I'd be down for a sequel, man.
Well, they were talking about having a sequel, but because, it didn't do so well in the box office, that they couldn't do it.
Money talks, and man, not making your budget, like barely making your budget back, is rough.
Yeah, it's tough. Despite critical acclaim, like people, like reviewers like the movie, and it won award, like the Hugo Award. It won a Prometheus Special Award, Nebula Award for Best Script.
Hugo's huge. That's the big sci-fi one.
Yeah. But underperformed at the box office, and like I kind of get why. Like, remember when we were reviewing Firefly, I was like, I get why this got canceled. I get why this would underperform. It's just, it sucks because it is very quality.
I don't know what the marketing was for it. I might look at the trailer after this to see what it looked like.
Yeah.
But I remember Chiwetel looking cool. I remember I'm picturing like what you would cut into the trailer, like her, like Summer Glau just kicking ass. And
you're doing that, like, dude, that fight where she's fighting the Reavers and it's kind of like, strobe lighty?
Mm-hmm.
I know that's kind of to cover up, like,
well, isn't it, when did
some
Blade
of the
come
martial
out?
arts?
Like, when did Blade come out? Because that kind of has like,
oh yeah,
a Blade
Blade
vibe.
was like 99 or something, right?
I was trying to figure out like 2005, like what this would be up against and stuff like that. But
yeah, but like, it really, Blade was 98. It's a tough sell, and like, even like we were talking about, some of the story in the movie, if you didn't watch Firefly the show, it's a little bit tough. Like the Simon Kaylee stuff, the Mal Inara stuff.
Here's the thing.
It's tough.
I would think word of mouth, though, if you saw it and it was good, would get some buzz going. That's the thing. And it's 2005, so you don't have a ton of competition. It's not like there's a ton of streaming stuff. It's not like YouTube's what it is now. Again, movies still did bomb and didn't do well. I'd be curious to look up like what this was released against.
Yeah, I think in the like release, they were saying that they were expecting it to do well because it got like really good reviews and they were expecting it to kind of become number one at the box office, but it just wasn't. Like some of the marketing, it was a lot of like grassroots stuff I saw. They did some kind of viral marketing where they had like internet videos going out called the Tam sessions. And it's just kind of like little shorts of the experiments they were doing on River and like how it was fucking with her, which is like, it's kind of innovative and a little ahead of its time, maybe a little too ahead of its time. But it did say it relied heavily on word of mouth within the fan base for promotion. And I guess,
the fan base missed half the Firefly episodes that weren't released. Exactly. And
so it's just tough, but it did gain like a cult following and people do love it.
It came out on September 30th in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like this had to be a summer release.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it said that although several pundits predicted a number one opening, the film opened number two, taking in 10.1 million its first weekend, spending 2 weeks in the top 10 and closed on November 17th, 2005. So I don't know what it was up against, but that sucks, man. But again, I get why. It's a tough to promote a movie based off of a canceled TV show that follows as a sequel to that canceled TV show that relies heavily on, maybe not so heavily, but it does rely on you knowing what's going on in the TV show. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So in September of 2005, I think Transporter 2 had come out. In August, The 40-Year-Old Virgin had come out. Flight Plan. Let's see. Roll Bounce. Do you remember that movie?
I wonder what took number one on that weekend then.
I tried September. Serenity, September 30th. A History of Violence was September 23rd. Fantastic Four was in July. Batman Begins was in June.
Oh, I saw that movie 3 times in theaters. I fucking love Batman Begins.
I've only seen it. I don't know if I saw that one in theaters. I definitely saw Dark Knight opening at like midnight. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I don't know what did it.
Yeah. One little note too. Jane in this movie looks fucking jacked as hell. He put on some arm weight, dude. His arms look huge.
I know what I wanted to say. Simon looked a little jacked.
Yeah.
And what the fuck is River doing watching her brother get it on with Kaylee?
Bro, that was so weird.
Yes.
So the ending scene of like where it leaves everybody off, like Kaylee finally gets to fuck Simon, and you see, Simon in the episode with Early, you see him shirtless. He's pretty lean. He looks pretty svelte.
Yeah.
But then you see him in this, and his back looks muscular.
He looked Gyllenhaal-esque from the back.
Yes. Yes. And I also say I like his hair better in this too.
Yeah, they got fixed up. They had better. They're movie people now.
Movie budget.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then Simon and Kaylee start getting it on, and River doing, I guess, her little split on the ceiling type thing.
Yeah.
She just pops her head from the ceiling to watch this happen. And I was like, why did you include this?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, like that's one of those, like, you walk by the door and she like covers her eyes and runs off. And you're like, okay, cool. That's because they're infantilizing her. She's still super childlike. But this is like, that was weird.
Do you think that she's getting that amygdala feeling like she did with when she was watching Zoe and Wash?
You just hear her skittering across the like vents into Jane's room. I don't know, man. That was just a weird little button to have.
Yeah, I could have done without that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little.
Especially because we're going to see her in the cockpit with Mal.
With Mal.
Yeah.
Well, especially because it's her
brother. Yeah.
What are you doing, Joss? Like that? What? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I said, like, there's one critique of the movie is like that. Here's critique number 2. Why? Why on that?
Yeah.
Why on that?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Overall, like, again, can't praise this movie enough. They sent Firefly out with a bang. Like, this is a great conclusion for Firefly. I think it wrapped up a lot of stuff. Little tiny critiques here and there, but overall, really enjoyed the movie. Well, all right. You got anything else to say, Vance?
No, I think I'm going to get a hologram gravestone for myself when I go.
That actually was really fucking cool.
And as they're in the California desert.
Yeah.
I was just waiting to see some potentials and see Buffy running around trying to get her vision quest on.
Did I ever say this on the podcast? I don't know, but there was a plan to have Spike in Firefly in like a bar at some point.
Ugh. That's what my thought is of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that is a wrap, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to our review of Firefly. Hope you enjoyed it. Hop on Discord. Let us know what you thought. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/boyswatchingbuffy. We're going to be starting Dollhouse next week, but this week we're doing our Angel Q&A, so have fun with that. We also have Dr. Horrible Sing-Along blog coming out soon on Boys Watching Movies tier. Stay tuned next week for Veronica Mars. We're going to be starting off Veronica Mars, man.
And get the word out. You know, if you got a Veronica Mars fan in your life, let them know. Let them know that the boys are taking on that show. Post it up on your socials, you know, get the word out, you know, like how this movie.
I was going to say, much like Serenity and how it all flopped, relying on grassroots word of mouth.
Yeah.
We're relying on word of mouth too, so please don't let the podcast flop.
Do your part.
If you want to get a shout out, Apple Podcast 5-star rating and review, Spotify 5-star rating, take a screenshot of it, send it in to us. Follow us on Instagram at Boys Watching Buffy. At this point, I'm not sure if TikTok is banned, but we got TikTok for as of right now.
Yeah.
At Boys Watching Buffy. Email at boyswatchingbuffy@gmail.com. We got merch. We got Amazon wishlist. We got, I don't know what else we got.
Join the Discord. Join the Discord. It's going lively conversation there. Yeah.
Join the Discord. And stay tuned next week for the first episode of Veronica Mars.
You want to run this ship? Yes. Well, you can't.
These are violent criminals, so they're not going to go down easy.
ABC Tuesdays.
Let's get this done.
The Rookie is back.
We have 2 new rookies starting today.
Howdy.
Being a cop is stressful, 24/7.
Every year on the job is different.
And Training Day
We have a serial killer at large.
never ends.
We need an ambulance!
The Rookie. All new Tuesdays on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.